So I want you to imagine taking off your socks tonight, and you notice this deep red ring just sort of indented into your skin right around your ankle.
Oh, yeah, we see that a lot.
Right. And I mean, most people just glance at it, they blame a tight pair of socks or maybe a long day on their feet, and they just turn out the light.
Sure.
But what if your ankles were actually trying to tell you that your heart is quietly struggling to do its job? I mean, when was the last time you truly listened to your heart? And I don't mean in an emotional sense, but actually paying attention to this incredible organ that works for you every single second.
It is a really profound thought, honestly, because, well, we are so accustomed to viewing our bodies in these isolated pieces, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Like, we think a foot problem is just a foot problem. But the cardiovascular system is exactly that. It's a closed, interconnected system.
Right.
So when the central engine experiences even minor strain, well, the ripples reach the farthest edges of the body long before the engine itself actually, fails.
And that timeline, that buildup, is exactly what today's deep dive is all about. We have this incredible set of sources today detailing the 7 silent signals of heart strain, specifically tailored for seniors.
It's such an important topic.
It really is. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack these quiet, incredibly easy to miss warning signs that can appear weeks or months or even years before a serious cardiac event.
Exactly.
So if you are, say, navigating your 70s and beyond, or if you love someone who is, this is about getting a decoder ring for those subtle bodily changes, because the heart rarely fails without whispering first.
It really does whisper, and learning to translate those whispers, I mean, it's one of the most proactive steps you can take for your longevity.
Absolutely.
The reality that we see time and time again in the medical data is that early recognition changes everything. When we catch these subtle shifts early, well, the interventions are often much simpler, right? And the outcomes are just dramatically better.
So let's trace the journey of what happens when that central engine actually starts to struggle.
Okay, let's do it.
Instead of just, listing off symptoms, I want to look at how this plays out systemically. So let's start with the most subtle, widespread feeling, which is an inexplicable energy drain.
Ah, yes. Sign number 7.
Right, sign 7. We're talking about profound fatigue from just simple daily activities, walking out to the mailbox.
Yeah.
Or standing in the kitchen to make a piece of toast. Or maybe climbing 3 or 4 steps to the porch.
What's fascinating here is the underlying physiology of that exhaustion. Because when most of us say we're tired, we mean we haven't slept well, right? Or we've had a really mentally taxing day.
Oh, sure, just standard exhaustion.
Exactly. But this is cellular fatigue. Your heart's main job is to deliver oxygen-rich blood to your tissues.
Right.
So when it begins to weaken, its cardiac output drops. And the body, well, it's an incredibly smart survival machine. So when it senses a limited supply of oxygen, it initiates this triage protocol.
Wait, a triage protocol, like in an emergency room?
Yeah, exactly like that. It forcefully shunts blood away from your skeletal muscles, like your arms and your legs, to ensure that your brain and your core organs have enough to keep going.
Okay, let's unpack this. If I'm understanding the mechanism here, it's essentially a supply chain crisis, right?
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Like, if a factory isn't getting enough raw materials, it shuts down the non-essential assembly lines just to keep the main generators running.
Yes.
So in this case, the body considers, walking to the mailbox a non-essential assembly line.
That is a perfect analogy. Your leg muscles literally do not have the oxygen they need to contract efficiently, which is exactly why they feel like lead.
Wow.
So the fatigue isn't in your head. It is a systemic physiological response to diminished blood flow.
And that lack of forward pumping power, it doesn't just starve the muscles, it actually creates a backlog. Which leads us right to sign number 6 and how this affects the lungs and our breathing.
Right, shortness of breath.
Yeah, the sources point out that this same energy drain often pairs with suddenly feeling breathless while doing things that, used to be completely effortless.
Like carrying a single bag of groceries.
Exactly. Or even just getting dressed in the morning. I mean, suddenly you're out of breath putting on a shirt.
The respiratory connection is crucial here because the heart and lungs are in this constant, delicate dance.
Right, they work together.
They have to. Yeah. The right side of your heart pumps blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen. And then the left side receives it back and pumps it out to the body.
Okay.
So if the left ventricle, which is the main pumping chamber, if it gets a little stiff or weak, it can't eject all the blood it receives. So where does that excess go?
It backs up.
It backs up. And the immediate waiting room behind the left ventricle, is the pulmonary veins inside your lungs.
So it's essentially a traffic jam. The blood backs up, increasing the pressure in the lung.
Yes, and that increased pressure, which we call pulmonary congestion, it forces these tiny amounts of fluid out of the blood vessels and into the air sacs, the alveoli.
Oh, wow.
Normally, those air sacs expand really easily, like a dry sponge soaking up air. But when they are slightly waterlogged, well, the lungs become stiff.
That sounds incredibly uncomfortable.
It is. Your breathing muscles have to work significantly harder just to pull in the same amount of oxygen, which is why simply putting on a shirt suddenly leaves you gasping.
I often hear folks excuse this by saying, well, I haven't been to the gym lately, or, I'm just getting older. But we really need to separate normal aging from actual pathology here.
Absolutely.
I mean, sure, we all lose some peak endurance as we age, but I look at it this way. Your body has a baseline metabolic requirement just to exist. Let's call it the idle on a car engine.
I like that, the idle.
Yeah, and as we age, our top speed drops. We aren't running marathons. But walking across the living room, that's the baseline idle. If the engine is sputtering on a flat paved road in idle, that's not just a loss of fitness, right?
That is a very crucial distinction. Normal aging might mean you need to, catch your breath after a long flight of stairs. But it does not mean you should feel this air hunger while resting or performing just minimal exertion.
Right.
Another big red flag within this is if you feel breathless when you lie down at night.
Oh, because of gravity.
Exactly. Gravity normally keeps that excess fluid pooled in the lower parts of your lungs. When you lie flat, it spreads out across the entire lung surface, making breathing incredibly difficult until you prop yourself up on pillows.
Which people just write off as needing a new pillow.
Right, but that is never just being out of shape. It's a real signal.
Which brings us perfectly back to our opening scenario with the socks. Sign number 5. Because this fluid backup, this traffic jam we're talking about, it doesn't just happen in the lungs.
No, it doesn't.
If the right side of the heart is struggling, the backup goes out into the venous system, affecting the extreme lower ends of the body. Swollen feet and ankles.
Exactly. And the mechanism here is deeply tied to physics, actually, and kidney function.
Okay, how so?
Well, as pressure builds up in the venous system, because the heart isn't pulling blood forward effectively, we get something called hydrostatic pressure.
Hydrostatic pressure.
Right. It literally forces the clear plasma out of your capillaries and into the surrounding tissue. And because of gravity, this pooling happens in the lowest points, so your feet and ankles.
I want to make sure we differentiate this, though, because anyone who has taken, like, a long cross-country flight knows their shoes feel tight by the time they land.
No, absolutely.
Or if you eat a really salty dinner, you might wake up feeling puffy. So how do we know it's the heart?
The key difference is chronicity and resolution.
Okay.
If you sit on a plane for 6 hours, your calf muscles aren't contracting to help pump blood back to the heart so the fluid pools. But once you walk around, it resolves.
Right. You get moving and it goes away.
Yep, exactly. With cardiac-related edema, the central pump is the issue. So the swelling becomes a persistent daily pattern. You wake up and your ankles look relatively normal, but by mid-afternoon, your shoes are pinching, and by evening, your socks are leaving those deep trenches in your skin.
Wow. And there's a compounding factor here with the kidneys, isn't there? Because if I read the sources right, the body kind of misinterprets what's happening.
It really does. It's one of those tragic ironies of human physiology, to be honest.
Tragic irony.
Yeah, because when the heart's output drops, less blood flows to the kidneys. And the kidneys are the body's fluid regulators.
Okay.
So when their blood supply drops, they assume you must be dehydrated, or perhaps you're bleeding somewhere.
Oh no, so they hold on to water.
Exactly. Their emergency response is to retain sodium and water to boost blood volume. But in the case of a weak heart, more fluid is the absolute last thing the system needs.
Because the pump is already overwhelmed?
Right. It just adds more volume to an already failing pump, which just worsens the backup in the feet and the lungs.
It's a vicious cycle. The body is trying to save itself, but is actually making the traffic jam so much worse.
It really is.
So that's the bottom of the system. Let's look at sign number 4 and trace this mechanical issue all the way to the top of the system, the brain.
The brain is very sensitive to this.
Yeah, because the sources highlight frequent dizziness, lightheadedness, or feeling like you might faint as a major silent signal.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the brain is the most demanding organ in the body. I mean, it consumes roughly 20% of your oxygen and blood flow, despite being just a fraction of your body weight.
20%?
Yeah, So it is exquisitely sensitive to any drop in perfusion.
Right, and we've established the heart is struggling to push fluid forward. So if we look at this like a municipal water system.
I love these analogies.
Well, if the central water tower loses pressure, the house at the absolute highest elevation in town is the first one to lose water from the tap.
Right, yes. And your body actually has sensors built in to prevent this. They're called baroreceptors, and they're located right in your carotid arteries in your neck.
Okay.
So when you stand up from a chair, gravity instantly pulls your blood downward. These baroreceptors sense that drop in pressure and immediately fire a signal to your heart to beat a little faster and to your blood vessels to constrict, just ensuring blood keeps reaching the brain.
But if the heart muscle is fatigued from all that strain,
then the heart receives the signal, but it simply can't mount the necessary response quickly enough.
wow.
And that slight delay in blood reaching the brain causes transient cerebral hypoperfusion.
Which feels like what?
You experience it as the room spinning, or your vision narrowing, or maybe needing to grab the arm of the chair to steady yourself.
Which, again, so easy to write off.
Oh, incredibly easy. Now, many older adults are on medications like beta blockers or blood pressure drugs that can also blunt this reflex. But attributing chronic dizziness purely to, standing up too fast is incredibly risky. Ignoring dizziness is essentially ignoring the brain's explicit plea for better circulation.
It's just remarkable how a single central weakness manifests in such vastly different ways. I mean, heavy legs, stiff lungs, swollen ankles, and a spinning head.
It's all connected.
But eventually, the heart stops relying on these secondary systems and starts sending direct signals. Which brings us to sign number 3. The most notorious of these is chest discomfort. And here's where it gets really interesting, because public perception of this is just dangerously skewed.
Oh, completely. The media in Hollywood have done a massive disservice to public health awareness regarding cardiac symptoms.
This Hollywood heart attack.
Exactly. The dramatic, clutching the chest, falling to the floor heart attack, that is not the norm, especially for subtle progressive heart disease.
The sources make a real point to emphasize that this discomfort is often very vague. It's mild pressure, a strange tightness, or an ache that comes and goes. So why doesn't the heart just send a sharp, clear pain signal, like a cut on your finger?
Because the nervous system wiring of the internal organs is entirely different from your skin. Your skin has highly specific pain receptors for cuts or burns.
Right.
But the heart muscle, the myocardium, it senses a lack of oxygen, which is a state called ischemia.
Ischemia, okay.
When the coronary arteries can't deliver enough oxygen-rich blood during times of stress, the heart muscle begins to shift its metabolism, and it produces chemical byproducts like lactic acid.
Oh, is that similar to the burning you feel in your thighs after a heavy workout?
It is exactly the same mechanism, but the brain interprets the heart's distress signals very broadly.
Why is that?
Because the nerve pathways from the heart share real estate with nerves from the chest wall, the jaw, and the arms. So the brain gets confused about where the signal is actually coming from.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. That's why ischemia often feels like a heavy weight sitting on your sternum, or a band tightening around your ribs, or an ache radiating up into your jaw, or down your left arm. It can even feel exactly like severe indigestion.
Which is why the rationalization trap is so deadly here. It's so easy to say, well, I must have pulled a muscle in the garden, or, I shouldn't have eaten that spicy food for dinner.
Except people do it all the time.
But any new unexplained tightness or pressure between your navel and your nose, especially if it happens during exertion and goes away with rest, well, that needs to be evaluated. You really don't wait for the Hollywood moment.
Waiting is often fatal. And it's also worth noting that women, particularly senior women, frequently experience even more atypical symptoms.
Right, the sources mention that.
Yeah, they might not feel chest pressure at all, but rather profound, sudden fatigue or nausea or just a cold sweat.
That brings us to sign number 2, the other direct signal from the heart, which is rhythm changes. We're talking about palpitations, a heartbeat that suddenly feels unusually fast, irregular, or like it's fluttering or completely skipping beats in your chest.
Palpitations are deeply unsettling because they force you to become acutely aware of an organ that is supposed to operate completely silently in the background.
Right. Now, I want to clarify the threshold here. Because if a car backfires outside my window, well, my heart is going to skip a beat and race.
Of course.
Or if I drink a massive cup of strong coffee, I'll feel a flutter. Since the heart responds to our environment, at what point does an irregular rhythm cross the line from a normal physiological reaction to a genuine warning sign?
Context and frequency are the dividing lines here.
Context and frequency, okay.
If you are startled, your sympathetic nervous system dumps adrenaline into your bloodstream, and your heart is supposed to race. That is a healthy, functioning system.
Right.
The warning sign is when these rhythm changes occur without a trigger. You're sitting calmly on the couch reading a book, and suddenly your heart feels like a bird trapped in your chest, or feels like it pauses for a terrifying second before just slamming against your ribs.
What's actually happening mechanically when it flutters or skips like that?
The heart has its own internal pacemaker. It's a cluster of cells called the sinoatrial, or SA node.
The SA node.
Right. It generates electrical impulses that travel down these highly organized pathways, telling the different chambers exactly when to squeeze. It's a beautifully synchronized process.
It's like clockwork.
Exactly. But as the heart ages, or if it has been working against high blood pressure for years, the muscle tissue can thicken or stretch.
And I imagine that structural change disrupts the electrical wiring.
Precisely. The pathways get stretched or scar tissue forms. And suddenly other rogue cells in the heart decide to fire off their own electrical impulses entirely out of turn.
I always picture it like an orchestra.
It's an orchestra, yeah.
Like the SA node is the conductor keeping perfect 4/4 time, and an irregular heartbeat, like an ectopic beat or atrial fibrillation, is like a rogue violinist in the back suddenly deciding to play double time, just entirely off sheet.
That's a great visual.
So the whole symphony loses its synchronization, and instead of a smooth, unified chord or, a unified pump of blood, you get this messy, chaotic flutter.
And just like a chaotic orchestra produces terrible music, well, an unsynchronized heart produces terrible blood flow.
Wow.
If the upper chambers are quivering instead of fully squeezing, blood can pool and form clots. And that dramatically increases the risk of a stroke.
It's terrifying.
It is. Repeated, unprovoked episodes of a racing or irregular heart mean the electrical system is sending up a flare. It requires an EKG to map that electrical activity and find the short circuit.
So we have mapped out a massive physiological journey here today. I mean, we've seen how the body triages blood, causing heavy limbs and fatigue.
Yeah.
We've looked at the fluid backing up into the lungs and the feet. We've seen how the brain reacts to low pressure, and how the heart itself cries out through strange pressures and electrical chaos.
The physical signs are undeniable once you know the mechanisms.
They really are. Yet, despite all these red flags, the final warning sign, sign number 1 detailed in our sources, is entirely psychological. Warning sign number 1 is ignoring the small changes. The psychology of denial.
It is arguably the most dangerous force in medicine. The human mind possesses this incredible capacity to rationalize away discomfort when confronting the alternative is frightening.
The sources explicitly quote the internal monologues that so many seniors or their children use, like, I'll deal with it after the holidays.
We hear that every December.
Or it's probably just old age. Or my favorite, if I wait a bit, it will just go away.
And to be scientifically fair, the body does heal from many minor ailments.
Sure, a cold goes away.
Right. A bruised knee gets better, a cold resolves. But cardiovascular disease is progressive. The mechanical and electrical issues we've discussed, they do not spontaneously repair themselves.
Right.
When it comes to the heart, time is tissue.
So what does this all mean? It means that the biggest threat to longevity isn't just plaque in an artery or a stiffening left ventricle. The biggest threat is our own procrastination.
Absolutely.
It's the fear of being seen as a hypochondriac, the fear of losing independence, or the fear of becoming a burden to our families. We accept a declining quality of life because we falsely equate aging with suffering.
This raises an important question about how our culture views getting older. We have somehow normalized feeling terrible.
Yeah, we really have.
Yes, your body changes in your 70s and 80s. But a sudden, persistent shift in your baseline, needing a nap after checking the mail or having to unlace your shoes by dinner, that is not normal aging.
Right.
We have to decouple the natural aging process from preventable pathology. Denying the symptoms doesn't stop the disease. It only stops you from getting ahead of it.
It's about becoming an active, informed advocate for your own machine. We've covered the entire systemic map today, from the lungs trying to breathe through fluid, to the veins fighting hydrostatic pressure in the ankles, all the way down to the misfiring electrical orchestra in the chest.
And understanding the why behind these symptoms, it removes the mystery and hopefully removes the fear.
Exactly.
When you know that swelling is just a plumbing backup or dizziness is just a delayed sensor, it becomes a mechanical problem to be solved, not this vague doom to be ignored.
Absolutely. For everyone listening right now, taking this knowledge and applying it to your own life or the life of a parent or a loved one is how you reclaim power. But how do we put this into daily practice without becoming, obsessed with every little ache and pain?
I think the most powerful shift is to stop viewing your body as something that simply happens to you and start treating it as a partnership.
A partnership.
Yes. A partnership requires good communication. So instead of passively waiting to see if you get dizzy again, start actively tracking these subtle shifts.
Like writing them down.
Exactly. Consider keeping a very simple health journal right on your nightstand. It doesn't need to be complex, just a sentence or two. Like, Tuesday, my favorite loafers felt very tight today. Or Thursday, I felt strangely winded carrying the laundry basket.
That removes the emotion from it. It turns subjective fear into objective data.
Exactly. Memory is fallible, especially when we're trying to downplay our own symptoms.
Oh, sure.
But a written record reveals patterns. If you see 3 weeks of notes detailing fatigue and tightness, well, you can't deny it anymore.
You really can't.
And even more importantly, when you do sit down with your doctor, you aren't just giving them vague impressions. You are handing them a precise, detailed timeline. You give them the exact story they need to investigate the right systems, run the right tests, and help you thrive.
A partnership based on actual data. I love that. It brings us right back to our opening thought. When was the last time you truly listened to your heart?
Such a vital question.
Not in a vague, emotional way, but actually paying attention to the intricate, interconnected mechanics of the most vital engine you own. Those subtle whispers, the heavy legs, the tight shoes, the sudden breathlessness, they aren't just the noise of getting older.
No, they're not.
They are a profound language. And maybe today is the day you start writing down what it has to say.
I highly encourage it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.